I'm Nick Bloom, and today I'm going to talk to you about the positives and negatives of social media. So first question is, what is social media? Well, social media is a combination of websites and applications that allow everyday people to use social networking by sharing and creating content. Some of these applications include Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram. When talking about social media, there's a lot of positives and negatives, but first I'm going to give you 4 positives that let you know why you should be using social media. So the first positive is it allows users to form communities based off of personal beliefs and interests. So by forming communities, it allows you to grow closer to users that you are unable to see in person, whether that's family members, friends that just live far away from you, or you just cannot get in contact with. Through direct messaging, comments, you're allowed to do that through social media. You also can form relationships with users of similar interests and beliefs. So a lot of times social media will group your interests and beliefs and suggest users in different communities for you to join. So in a survey, 42% of the people surveyed said that they have met someone because of social media, and 69% that said that their interaction with that person strengthened because of the use of social media. Next positive of social media is that it can save lives of both users and non-users. It can save the lives of refugees, it can help charities raise money, or help the natural disaster survivors. So in a survey, 31.5% of people that use social media gave money, and 24% of people volunteered. 48% of Americans said that they would give money through social media. The next positive is that social media raises awareness for social issues and current injustices in the world. A lot of ways that awareness is brought up is through hashtag campaigns, such as the No Makeup Selfie, which raised over $10 million for cancer. Hashtag Endangered Emoji is where there was a group that was campaigning for awareness of extinct animals, where you post a picture and the corresponding emoji of that picture. And probably the most famous in the last couple of years is the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge that raised over $100 million. Finally, a big positive, and probably the most important positive of social media, is that it can positively affect your mental health. It gives you an escape from the real world. It allows you to create a platform and be creative. In a research done by Professor Ava Buchel, she conducted that if you have a bad experience out in the real world, that we are most likely to go to social media to try to release that feeling and bring happiness through others. Now on the flip side, there are many negatives, such as there's a lot of bullying. Cyberbullying and depression are at an all-time high in our day and age. While on social media in a survey, 43% of users have been bullied online. 70% of the users have seen bullying, and only 10% reported the bullying, 90% did not. 81% believe that bullying is easier online, and that's more due to parents, teachers are not supervising the children using social media. It's a lot easier to get away with saying harsh comments to people or personally attacking others online. The next negative of social media is that many people are unable to look like others, and it's causing a lot of depression and self-esteem issues. For example, since smartphones have been released, there's been a spike in depression and suicide. 90% of teens, to give it a perspective, 90% of teens own a smartphone. 88% have a social media app. So that having smartphones is really opening up the opportunity for teens to go on social media and lead to bullying or negative effects. And socially, there's a lot of people in the world that are socially isolated. They're not good being able to communicate with others, so that they rely on social media to have an experience with others, communicate with them, because it's a lot easier to communicate without being face to face. So what happens is when they go onto social media, if they have a negative effect, they can't come to the real world and get happiness because they don't know how to communicate with others. So this is just leading to a lot of depression and a lot of isolation. Continuing depression, self-esteem is a big issue and probably one of the leading causes. A lot of people see other people's bodies, personal belongings, lifestyles, pictures of them on vacations, showing that they have money, and they just have a negative feeling about themselves, thinking that they can't be like this person. So out of all of the groups of people that use social media, teenage girls are mostly affected by self-esteem issues. Next, in negatives, using social media excessively can lead to an addiction, which most people have formed a type of addiction, maybe not as serious as others. So FOMO is the fear of missing out, and that's a big way people are being addicted. 260 million Americans, which is 84% of the U.S., check their social media daily, and 45% check their phones at nighttime, multiple times. Addiction, why there's addiction with social media is that using social media gives users an idea of self-worth. Having likes, comments, follows releases a positive effect on a person and wants them to come back, and really they just keep coming back and back to feel these positive effects. Finally, social media abuse can lead to serious health issues. Sleep deprivation and irregular sleeping patterns are a big problem because users are using their phones late at night, staying up past not getting enough sleep, which can cause obesity, diabetes, and heart diseases. And most people don't really associate this with social media, but it really is a serious effect of not getting enough sleep and constantly going on the device. Another issue is memory problems from excessive use. A research done by Dr. Bono discovered that a lot of users will go on to social media before posting a picture, and they will edit the picture to make sure that it looks good, make sure that it gets a lot of likes so they can get follows. And what that's doing is it's psychologically changing their memory about what really happened. So if they come back maybe a couple months later and they see the picture and they realize that it's not like how they remembered it because it doesn't look as good because it didn't get enough likes, it's changing their memory about what really happened that day. And another big problem is the attention span. Users constantly hearing notifications, the dingings and the likes and follows coming in. They constantly want to check their phones and go back to that happiness through others. And so the attention span of the user is really shrinking. So in social media, there are positives and negatives, but the negatives outweigh the positives, such as distracted driving. Distracted driving has injured or killed 361,000 people in last year, and that accounts for 1/4 of accidents. Suicide, many people are being bullied and are causing depression, high rates of depression and suicide. And in a study, it's projected in 2020, 1.5 million people are going to commit suicide, and 30% of those people are going to commit suicide because of social media. And another big cause that a lot of teens don't really realize is that posts can ruin your lives. Many times if you post something that you think's funny, maybe something that's racist, sexist, that can come back and always be found, and you won't always be able to get that job you want in the future. Maybe you won't be accepted to that college. It really blocks a lot of career paths that you might want to have later in life. So in conclusion, yes, social media does have positives, but I believe that there are more negatives than positives. I think that it ultimately depends on how we as users use the social media platform. I think it's going to take a lot of self-control and limits, and that it might be hard, but through a lot of hard work and making sure that we're healthy and use it in a good way, that social media can be a good way. Thank you.